What? Yeah. Y'all got it or no? Because I want to see how the sound's working first. Before we start getting started and then we find out the sound's not working before we're not. You got it?
It's looking right now.
There it goes, yeah. Had to keep refreshing. There it goes, yeah. Sounds good. Had to keep refreshing. Sounds way better now. All right, man. We'll see if this microphone lives. But I gotta split my beard, so we don't.
See if it makes sound. I don't think it will. Is it doing sound either? I don't have it.
Well, you gotta wait for a second because there's a delay.
Yeah, it does.
You can hear like what?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, someone said it makes no sound. Oh yeah, it does.
Yeah. If you listen to it with headphones on, you probably definitely hear it. If you're just sitting there. All right. We're on chapter 164. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Walhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Wassalatu wassalamu ala Rasulillahi wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in wa ba'd. قال الإمام البخاري رحمه الله تعالى باب إجلال الكبير. So this is the chapter on respecting and honoring our elders, treating them with respect. So the honoring and the respecting is in all of our dealings with our elders, whether they're nice or whether they're not nice, whether they're knowledgeable or whether they're ignorant. We always, regardless of how they treat us, our treatment back to them should not be reciprocated based on their treatment to us, because they have rights over us as Muslims, and we have to fulfill their rights as elders in the way that we treat them, regardless of how they treat us and how they act to us and how they speak to us. So our treatment with and our respect and our honoring for our elders is in all regards the way that we speak to them, the way that we act towards them, the way that we sit and act around them. So you see, like, for example, you look at certain things in overseas, and this is a lot of different countries overseas, not just, it's in Yemen, it's in Saudi Arabia, it's in even in the in the Eastern Asian countries, Southeastern Asian countries like Indonesia, Malaysia, Singapore. You can't point your foot towards a person, because why? I wasn't even paying attention to that, honestly. Why is that? No, it's not a custom in America, so you don't have to put your foot down. But I'm just saying, if you go overseas, what?
It's just like a form of respect, It's like if you're putting like the bottom of your foot to somebody is
hey, you're disrespecting them.
Yeah, disrespecting.
Yeah, because anything that regarding the foot is regarded as being unclean, impure. So the same thing. If you're sitting with an older person, you wouldn't put your feet where you're pointing your feet at them. You wouldn't do things like tapping them on the head like a little child. I mean, just certain things that we have to have more reverence, but most importantly is the way that we speak to them. Regardless, like I said, you could have the most ignorant elder, but the way that you speak to them still has to be what? Respectful. Because again, the people are gonna judge you on the way that you react, just like they judge him on the way that he acts. So you continue to act towards the sunnah, and if you feel like your patience is running thin, make dua for the guy, and what? And get permission to leave. Say, excuse me, but I'm really busy. Can I have your permission to go? And go. If you make dua for him and leave. If you feel like your patience, don't stay there like some of the youth today. They will sit there and what? And go back and forth. Like if I'm in a masjid sometimes, older guy, especially in Yemen, akhi, this used to happen all the time. Because, you know, the older guys, they're really ignorant about the religion. But then what happens is they never cared about Islam their whole entire lives. This is like Yemeni culture, right? But once he starts to get like white beard, he has to go to the masjid and pray. You know, he has to be in the masjid all the time. I don't know why, but this is a Yemeni culture thing, right? So, but what happens is when these older guys, they go to the masjid, they don't have the manners of Islam because they weren't raised up really in the manner, even though they're raised up in a Muslim country, but they're not raised up with those manners of Islam, of the knowledge of Islam. So they come into and anything that they see that they think is wrong, they're just gonna yell at you, you know. And what we used to do? Smile, barakallahu feek ya amu, barakallahu feek. That's it. Jazakallah khair. And just let him go about his business. What happens now a lot with the youth today, what?
You go back and forth.
Yeah, you guys. This is advice to y'all, because y'all do this all the time in Masjid al-Badr, Fresno Masjid. Yes, you do, man. Y'all sit there and go back and forth with these older dudes. Yeah, just smile, man. Allah yubarak feek. Allah yubarak feek. You know, zadak Allahu ilman. Zadak Allahu hirsan ala, you know, ala ta'alam as-sunnah. Whatever, make dua for them and just keep going, man. Because there's no point in going back and forth with an ignorant person, and especially an older ignorant person. Because, you know, it's just a reality. An older person is not going to go back on his ways no matter how many. إِلَّا مَا رَحِمَ رَبِّي. So, you know, again, he has rights on you. He has rights as an elder. You see his beard is all white, and here you are, you know, in your 20s going back and forth with an older guy. So who looks bad in this situation? You do. And when you're a representative of the Sunnah and they look at you and say, oh, these are the guys that are supposed to be practicing the Sunnah, what does that do now as a representation for what you're supposed to be calling the people to? Again, you know, choose your battles and use wisdom in the types of battles that you involve yourselves in. Because there's no, again, if we're going to go back and forth with a person, you know, we should do it in a way that's soft and gentle. And, you know, if you see how the Yemen, like, wallahi, if you go to Yemen and you see the students of knowledge when they have to deal with these older Zaidi type, because, you know, the Zaidis are like real ignorant. They're really, really ignorant. They don't study anything, akhi. Because the old days in Yemen is that the only people that were allowed to have knowledge, the only people that were allowed in those madaris of the Zaidiyah were Ahl al-Bayt, were the people from the family of the Prophet that had that lineage going back to the Prophet. Everybody else was not allowed to study. That you're farmers and you know, basically they, you know, the tribal people, they, you know, the what they call the Sada in Yemen, they consider the tribes as their servants. So they kept them ignorant. So when you go to Yemen and you see a lot of these Zaidi guys, these are the tribal dudes. They're super ignorant because, again, their father wasn't allowed to get educated. They made an exception for one person, really. There was one person that they made an exception for, and they allowed this man into their schools. Who was that one person? They might have made exceptions for other people, but we know one exception. Sheikh Mokbil, rahimahullah. Sheikh Mokbil, when he went to Saudiya 2 times. So the first time he went to Saudiya, he went there. He didn't really seek a lot of knowledge. He went through, like, you know, he was in one markaz of Tahfidh al-Quran. Then he went to different places, but he got books. Like when he went there, he had asked some of the people of knowledge there, you know, what book should I get? So they told him, you know, Sahih Bukhari, Sahih Muslim, Riyadh al-Salihin, Fath al-Majid. So obviously he's reading Fath al-Majid, which is the explanation of Kitab al-Tawheed. And he goes back to Sa'dah. You know, at this point, like I said, he's not super knowledgeable, but he read these books and he knows now, he kind of has an idea, okay, what my people are doing is wrong. So he started doing the inkar and the munkar, right? He started speaking out against the stuff that they were doing at the graves. They have a masjid, it's called Masjid al-Hadi, that's in Sa'dah, that has a grave in the masjid. So he started speaking out against these things. So what do? They think, okay, what we need to do is maybe if we, you know, he's just angry because we didn't educate him. And now the Wahhabis have educated him. This is what they're saying, right? So let's put him into our school so we could try to educate him. You know, so they put him in the school, and when he saw what they were teaching, he refused to, you know, like study like their aqidah, their fiqh. So he started studying Nahu. So he said at that time he studied, Allah yarhamu, Qatar al-Nada about 7 times. So what he would do is he would pretend like he didn't understand it. So every time that they would finish Qatar Nada, he would say, I didn't get it. We need to study it again. So they studied it over and over and over again to keep them from putting them into the other classes with fiqh and aqidah. And then finally, once the war started in Yemen in the 50s, and then he went back to Saudi Arabia. All right, so was it in the, no, that wasn't in the 50s. The 50s was a war between Saudi and Yemen. That was way before that. This was the war between I believe the North and the South. So this was in I think the 70s, if I'm not mistaken. So he went back to Saudi Arabia, and then that's when he started seeking knowledge. But so they actually tried to put him in the school. They put him in the school, but that was an exception because he's a tribal person. He's not from Ahl al-Bayt. They did not allow, in those days, they did not allow any tribal person to get educated.
Does this still go on?
As far as their schools, yeah.
It still goes on?
Yeah, but now they got school, like now, because they got schools, they got regular schools. So the tribal dudes go to regular school. But generally in the villages, most of these guys, they go to school like a small period of the day, then they're working in the fields. So they're even school, they're not really coming out like educated, you know.
What do they teach there?
I don't know, I never went to those schools.
Like where do they get their evidence?
No, they probably, most of the time, back in those days, they were getting the books, like the same types of books that are in Saudi Arabia or Egypt, school books, because they're all Arabic.
No, I'm talking about where the people who got to really study.
The Ahl al-Bayt.
Yeah.
What about them?
Like, what did they teach them in those highs, like those?
What did they teach in the school?
Yeah.
Ali said this, Ali did that, Ali said this, and Ali did that, and Ali said this, and Ali did that. That's their books. Yeah. So that's why Sheikh Muqbil studied Qatar al-Nada, which is a book in grammar. He studied it 7 times. Just to avoid studying anything else. And then when that war broke out, he left. He left and went to Saudi Arabia, and then
What year was Sheikh Muqbil born?
I don't know. I don't think anybody. Does anybody know what year? I don't even know how old he was when he died. He was in his 60s when he died.
Really?
Yeah. So he died in 2001. So let's say he was like 66, 67 years old.
Yeah.
Subtract that from 2001.
Like 1950.
No, before that.
1940.
2001, I said.
Yeah.
So be in his in the late 30s, early 40s.
1930.
Late 1930s, early 1940s. Yeah. All right. So Bab Ijlal al-Kabir. Hadith number 357. حدثنا بشر ibn Muhammad al-Marwazi. You know what's questions coming now. أخبرنا عبد الله. Who's Abdullah?
Ibn Sir.
Huh? Ibn Mubarak. Yeah. قال أخبرنا عوف ابن عن زياد ابن مخراق قال أبو كنانة مجهول فيه جهالة. So he's weak. Abu Kinana is weak. عن الأشعري رضي الله عنه قال إن من أجلال الله إكرام ذي الشيبة المسلم وحامل القرآن غير الغالي فيه ولا الجافي عنه وإكرام ذي السلطان المقسط. So he said إن من أجلال الله. So this is what? From how you say that in English? From like I don't know, use the word venerating. What did they use in the translation?
Part of respect. Law is to respect and hold.
It's more than respect. It's like it's venerating, like
honoring,
like showing like Allah's, His greatness, and
like praising.
Praising. Stronger than that. So inna min ijlalillahi is like it's honoring, is respecting, but in a very what? In a great manner. Yeah. Ikrama, what? Is showing is honoring the Shaybat al-Muslim. Is showing honor and respect to an older Muslim. All right, and Shayba, obviously, because his hair has become what? It's become white. All right, he's become white.
What's it mean?
Old man. Ajuz is an old woman. Shayba is an old man. Wahamil al-Quran. And Hamil al-Quran is the person who's memorized the Quran. غير الغار فيه ولا الجافي عنه All right, so the person is what? Is showing respect and honor to a person who's memorized the Quran. غير الغالي فيه. That means that he doesn't go beyond, he doesn't go to extremes. Wherever the boundaries that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has set, that's where he what? That's where he stops. He doesn't go to extremes. وَلَا الْجَافِ عَنْهُ الْجَافِ عَنْهُ وَلَا يَقْصُرُ عَنْهُ. That means that he doesn't what? He doesn't become like mutasahil and you know mufarrat. He doesn't like go and do less than what he's supposed to do. So al-ghali, he does too much. The jafi anhu, he does what? He doesn't do enough. He has the Quran, he knows what he's supposed to be doing, but again, he's lazy about this and lazy about that and lazy. So he said that to show honor for a person who does not have these characteristics. He doesn't go to extremes, you know, and he doesn't do less than what he's supposed to be doing. He said, وَإِكْرَامَ ذِي سُلْطَانِ الْمُقْسِطِ, and showing honor to the person who possesses a position of authority and he's just. All right. So does this mean that we dishonor and disrespect a person who's not just? No, we keep our mouth shut. We keep our mouth shut. And we're seeing this now live. Here we are in California, right? The Musdar. You know, because like, right, tomorrow I think they're supposed to have all these protests all around America, right? Yeah, but like, where did it all start at?
What'd you say?
No kings.
They're going to have all these protests all around America from tomorrow.
From disobeying
But where did it start? What city did it start in?
LA.
Starts in LA. People start to see the chaos that's going on in LA. Then they want to go out and mimic it in their city because it helps them get likes and views on Instagram and TikTok and Twitter and all these other places. So then they want to go throw rocks at police and get shot by rubber bullets and do all this type of stuff and go on lockdowns and all this because of why? And then the chaos it starts to spread. All because of what?
LA.
Not because of LA, but because of people not obeying what? Law and order. So again, no matter what the type of like the wali al-amr, like obviously we're in America. A kafir is not an authority over us. But still, even though
Shows the destruction of it.
well, even though we're not, you know, are we gonna, does that mean like, okay, Donald Trump is not our wali al-amr? He's not. He's a kafir. And there's no walaya of a kafir over a Muslim. Okay, tayyib. But does that mean that we go out to the streets and protest and act stupid and destroy stuff? And no. That's dumb. That's completely stupid. And wallahi, the people are gonna find out because subhanallah, you know, I don't know how much I could talk about here on YouTube, but like I said, you know, when the whole Palestinian thing started, I said, watch. I told them this from the very beginning. We're talking about, I think, before I even came to Fresno, I was speaking about this. And I told the people, I said, you idiots, you're going to get out and you're going to cause a bunch of chaos. And while you're causing all the chaos, they're going to start passing laws against everybody about hate speech. Yeah. Did they do that? I was saying this in 2023, right? Did they do that? Huh? Yes, they've been doing that the whole time. As soon as Donald Trump came into office, they started passing what? These laws about hate speech. Now, you know, now watch. You're going to get to the point where you're going to go to jail for speaking about the little hats and stuff like that. Watch what happens. So all of this stuff now, that's the first thing. Now what are they trying to bring in? They're trying to bring in all the facial recognition. You know, that's why right now they got, you know, Elon Musk and everybody, all this stuff going on. What for what? To bring in that whole Chinese system of government here. And the people and now they're going to allow these protests to happen. Why? Because they're testing that technology right now. You see, y'all people are so stupid, Akhi. Well, like, the people are so stupid. Y'all are pawns, man. Like, seriously. You go out and protest and do all this garbage. You're just a pawn being moved around the board. And as soon as they want these protests to finish, guess what? They end. They end tomorrow if they wanted them all to stop. This ain't natural. These protests aren't natural. A lot of these people get bussed into these places. You know, there's like piles of bricks left in certain areas where, you know, like where the bricks are already there, like unloaded off of trucks. And people have been making videos about this since you know, way back. Since the first time that the orange man was in power, right? So it's like, Akhi, you know, we should call him just Garfield. Should we just call him Garfield? The first time that Garfield was in power. We did actually have a president called Garfield.
Andrew Garfield.
Didn't he get shot though?
No, that was John F. Kennedy.
No, look it up. Garfield, was he?
Andrew Garfield?
No, that was he got shot. That was Abraham Lincoln.
No, there was a few. There were a few.
Dude.
There were a few
Both
presidents
got
got.
shot.
We shouldn't be talking about this, but
Martin Luther King too.
he wasn't a president though.
No, Andrew Garfield is the guy who played Spider-Man.
Type in Garfield president, man.
What is it?
Andrew Garfield. Talking about the man who plays Spider-Man. See where his mind's at, man.
I mean, do you
What's
know
the name?
Andrew Garfield?
James A. Garfield.
James Garfield, yeah.
He was the 20th president.
And what happened to him? Did he actually?
Yeah, he only was president for 2 months.
And what happened?
Sure, until after being shot,
After being shot?
assassinated.
No, being So there you go. So I don't think we should be calling him Garfield, then, huh? Huh? What? What? What's that? What's that?
That orange fuzzy guy with the trees,
I don't even know what that is, man. Lorax?
or
Oh yeah.
orange.
Whatever, man. The orange man. Khalas.
Orange juice.
But I'm just saying, like, you guys are pawns, man. But like all these movements and all these groups, akhi, they're all controlled. All of them are controlled. And the people that go out and cause this type of chaos, they're idiots. And the people that encourage this, either they're controlled too, or they're just idiots, more bigger idiots than the people that go out and participate in this stuff. But he doesn't have a mustache, though. All right, though.
My mom, she asked me if I wanted to go to a protest.
When those protests were happening in Yemen, I remember standing up in front of the students, and I was like, yeah, all these prostitutes in the street. And they're like, they're not there's protesters. I like, nah, they're prostitutes. Because y'all are getting sold out by these groups. Y'all are controlled. Y'all are prostitutes. That's what y'all are. You're not going out there. You're a bunch of stupid youth. You got nothing in your minds. Most of the youth today, wallahi, akhi, just do this as a social experiment, right? But you don't have to put this on social media. Just do this for your own self. Go around and just take a recorder, not a video, just a recorder, and go around and ask like youth. Go to a college, right? Would they allow you to go to Fresno University or what is it called? Fresno State. Would they allow you just to walk around and ask kids questions?
Yeah.
All right, do
I
it.
never done it.
Do it. Go around and sit down with these kids and say, what do you believe? What is the foundations of your beliefs? Record. Tell me your name, where you're from, your age, and what you believe. What do you think the kids are going to say? What do you think they're going to say?
They believe in partying.
I'm saying they're going to be like, that's a good question. What do I believe? Well, I think pizza's good, and there's got to be something up there somewhere. You're not going to get nothing. You're going to get a bunch of ums and ahs and oohs and Well, they're trying to, because they don't have anything. So now, if you don't even have any beliefs, what are you going to go out and fight for? What are you going to protest for? What are you,
Whatever they tell you to.
Exactly. Well, whoever's going to manipulate you and exploit you and control you and prostitute you out for their beliefs and for their agenda. Because that's what's happening. You're getting prostituted out for other people's agenda. The same thing like you look at like now. You look at these people that cause the chaos in the Muslim world. That try to encourage the people to protest in the Muslim world. Who are they? The garbage of those societies. The garbage. These are the dudes that aren't praying. These are the dudes that are, instead of listening to the Quran, he's listening to what are these stupid?
Nasheeds?
No, not nasheeds. Nah, they don't listen to nasheeds. They listen to American music.
In Yemen?
And whoever, Yemenis, Saudis, these munafiqun, these hypocrite liberal kids that they go and they wash their brains, and then they send them back over there to start like encouraging the people to protest, encouraging the people.
Yemen?
And Yemen, Saudi, all over the place, anywhere. You go any country where this stuff is going on, you find the same individuals behind it. But these people ain't listening to Quran. They're listening to whatever the popular American music is. I mean, most of those kids that were protesting, akhi, when they were, I went because I had to go in the middle of those protests because the print shops in Yemen, they're at the university, and it was all at the university. Akhi, they had DJs. You understand? In Yemen, They had DJ. They had a DJ. I could hear the guy on the microphone yelling, and then the music started to blast and all this stuff. And I can hear it way. I mean, I'm like way down. I'm at the beginning of the neighborhood where the protest is at. The university's way down the street. But I can hear it where I'm at. Where I'm going to this printer shop so I can print books out. And then I can hear this. You know what I'm saying? All this stuff is going on. They got the men and the women hanging out in tents together. Akhi, come on. Like, you're going to take youth like that? I mean, you're prostitutes, man. Seriously. Because you ain't got no beliefs. You're not fighting for nothing. You're not trying to establish nothing. What are these youth going to establish if they're successful and power was handed over to them? What would they establish? A McDonald's? Like, seriously, what are they going to do? Yeah, and on top of that, here's the thing. Go to the protest with not a microphone, but like a audio recorder. Start asking them about what they believe in. You think you're going to get the same answer out of any two people? تحسبهم جميعا وإيش وقلوبهم شتى. Like you wish. You look at them and you think they're united and they're organized. وقلوبهم إيش شتى. Like shatta, it means like mutafarraqa, like, you know, they're over there and they're over there and they're over there. Like their hearts are all detached from each other. They don't have any unity. The only thing that they can come together upon is one thing. Like, we don't like this person. Okay, now I tell you. Now, what happens when you get rid of that one person? Now, yeah, I don't like you. You don't like me. I don't like him. We don't. So me and you, we might agree that we don't like him. So we'll get together and get rid of him. But then once we get rid of him, then we realize, wait, now we got rid of him, but I don't like you and you don't like me. So now now we try to get rid of each other. And this is the result of all of these, you know, these protests and all this foolishness that you see over and over and over. Nothing but destruction. Nothing but destruction.
What were they protesting in Yemen? What is that sound?
It's a cat.
That's a cat.
What's it doing?
Fighting another cat.
What were they protesting in Yemen?
To get rid of the president.
Who was it?
Ali Abdullah Saleh.
Was it good or bad?
Who cares? He let the people practice their deen and he leave them alone. All right, khalas.
What was the university?
Sana'a University.
Was it good?
No, it was a bunch. These kids are coming out of it.
Oh, was it Islamic?
It produced all the liberal
Like,
kids.
were they teaching deen?
Nah, I mean, they were teaching all the liberal arts garbage. The university is like
Yemen?
yeah.
Does that still go on?
Akhi, you don't make money being religious.
Yeah.
Even in a Muslim country, if you want to make money, you have to study engineering, study medicine. You know, so if you were to go and get a degree in Islamic studies or Sharia or something like that, your parents will probably disown you in Yemen.
Really?
Yeah. Because it'd be like you're wasting your life. Like, why are you doing that? You just want to be poor.
Does that still go on?
Yes.
Do they still teach, like, have universities in Yemen?
Huh?
Is there still universities in Yemen?
Yeah, of course.
Really?
Yeah, but I think they're controlled by the Houthis now, the northern ones.
So they probably just teach, like how to be a Houthi.
No, they'll teach the same stuff because they still need engineers. They still need all these types of things.
Really?
They need
But
doctors. They need.
They teach.
But it's under the guys. It's under like the overseeing. Like the Houthis are overseeing it, right?
Yeah.
They teach engineering.
The Houthis were always in control of all of this stuff. Always. Even in the time of Ali Abdullah Saleh. The Houthis were in control of the Jawazat. All of the government buildings, the Houthis controlled them. Because if you look at the head people in all of those buildings and look at their families, who did their families go back to? Yeah, the Sada, those people that I told you about. The ones that look like everybody underneath them is a servant for them.
How did they get so big?
They allowed Ali Abdullah Saleh is allowed to be the president. Whoever the president of Yemen is allowed to be. If you don't listen and you don't do what we tell you to do, what happened to Ali Abdullah Saleh? Bullet in the head. What happened to Hamdi, the one before him? Bullet in the head. You understand? Hamdi, they did him even worse because his brother was the head of the military. They took his brother out first. They got him on the phone and said, "Here's your brother." They killed his brother first. And they said, "Now we're coming after you." They don't care about no president, man. The president is put there by them, protected by them. You do what we tell you to do. So they were always in control. They were always in control. They never relinquished control of the country. But then now they just said, okay, now we're going to take full control.
So
Oh, the werewolves right there.
Huh? Yeah, let Wero in. Garfield. I guess he heard us speaking about him. Garfield was probably the cat beating up that other cat.
So what about in the south in Yemen?
No, the south of Yemen is completely, it's like another country.
Was it like that when you were there?
Huh?
Was it like that when you were there?
What's that?
The south and how the south is.
And the Houthis have no reach in the south.
But did they when you were there?
No.
Today? No?
Not directly. Indirectly, but not directly.
So who like runs the south?
Now, whoever feels like it that day.
Really?
They got a whole bunch of different groups, akhi, and they all hate each other.
They don't have like a set government for the south?
They have the official government, but this group doesn't recognize the government, and that group doesn't recognize this group in the government. So they're like a
secular.
They're like a powder keg waiting to explode at any moment.
Like it's like a bunch of different countries.
It's a bunch of different groups, and they're all supposed to be sharing power, but that's impossible. Doesn't work like that. And the only way that you could ever have a country is like you can't have a bunch of different political groups. That's chaos. You have this is who controls the country. Everybody keep your mouth shut. You don't like it, go move to another country. That's it. Nobody's keeping you in this country. Leave. You understand? So the same thing. Like, you're in Saudi Arabia. You don't like Saudi Arabia. You don't like Yemen. You don't like, leave. Well, leave. Khalas. What are you going to stay there for if you don't like it? Go. But that's the thing. These people can't do it. They got to cause chaos and then go. And then go. So the same thing. All of those liberal idiots, they caused the chaos in Yemen and then they left. But they didn't leave. They got ran out. And the ones that left on their own accord, they can't go back. Nobody will accept them back. Nobody. Well, they'll get killed anywhere that they go. They get caught in the north, they're all gone. All of them. They won't live a week in the north. So Allah Musta'an. I have more chance of going back to Sana'a than they do. So anyways, back to the hadith. So that was about Iqram al-Sultan al-Muqsid. All right. So we went on a tirade about that. All right. So yeah, showing honor. But honestly, if you have a ruler who is just, who is just with the people, then obviously that person deserves to be honored and deserves to be respected and deserves to be defended. If you have a ruler who's controlling and running the country by the Quran and the Sunnah, and ruling the people by what, with justice, then no doubt that person needs to be respected and honored. All right, 358. حدثنا محمد بن سلام قال أخبرنا جرير عن محمد بن إسحاق عن عمرو بن شعيب عن أبيه عن عبد الله بن عمرو بن العاص. So whenever they say, you see this a lot in the chains of narration, right? And عمرو بن شعيب عن أبيه عن جده. All right, جده من? عبد الله بن عمرو بن العاص. That's the jid. So عمرو بن شعيب عن أبيه عن جده. But here he actually wrote his name out. All right. So عبد الله بن عمرو بن العاص رضي الله عنهما قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم ليس منا من لم يرحم صغيرنا ويوقر كبيرنا. So here Abdullah ibn Amr ibn al-As, he reported that the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, he is not from us, laysa minna, who does not, man lam yarham, who doesn't show mercy to the young ones amongst us. Wa yuwaqqir. What does yuwaqqir mean? And waqqara yuwaqqiru tawqiran, it means, like akrama wa azzama, like to honor and to hold in high esteem, in high regard. He doesn't honor the older people amongst us. So he doesn't show mercy to the youth, and he doesn't show respect and honor to the elders. Then this person is not from us. This person has nothing to do with us. So Allah musta'an. And that's what you see, akhi. Wallahi, that's what you see, man. I was gonna read more than that today, but I guess because we got on the tirade thing. But go ahead and take questions until 9:30, and then we'll inshallah go into Sharia, inshallah.
Should we be worried as Muslims in the U.S. about deportation?
Should we be worried about Muslims? Should we be worried as Muslims about deportation? Ya akhi, I welcome them deporting me to a Muslim country. Ahlan wa sahlan. That's where you should be going anyways. If you're from a Muslim country, you shouldn't be here in the first place. And you should be making why would you leave a Muslim country to come here now? And now you live in fear. You know, you shouldn't be here anyways. None of us should. But this is our country. Like, we're born here and raised here. We got no other country to go to, right? And when we go to other countries, like we go to Yemen, go to Saudi, you see, it's difficult. I had to live in Yemen for years and years and years. Like I told you, I lived in Yemen for 15 years. 6.5 years, I was legal. All right, so 8.5 years, I was illegal. All right, 8.5 years, I had to live there illegally. Even before I left, in the middle of the war, I had to go to the Jawazat. The Jawazat is controlled by the Houthis. And, you know, this is why the war is going on. And Saudi had just bombed the military base in front of the Jawazat, like maybe a couple days before I went there. And I'm sitting there telling my children, I'm sitting there having a conversation with their mother and saying, well, this is it. I'm dying today. You know what I'm saying? That's it. Either one, Saudi's going to bomb the place, or two, these people are going to put me in jail and y'all never going to see me again. You know, and alhamdulillah, they didn't, you know, they just told me, like, pay money and get out of the country. You know, and the Houthi guy, I didn't tell him, like, you know, but he could look at me. He looked at how I was dressed and everything. And he just told me, he said, what are you? I said, man, I believe in Allah and his messenger. He wants me to say what? Yeah, I'm from Damaj, I'm Salafi. I said, I believe in Allah's messenger. I'm a Muslim. I love Muslims. And then he just started advising me. He told me, he said, look, man, he said, be a Sufi. So I didn't understand what he's doing. I just, you know, again, you got to use wisdom. If I go and start arguing with this guy in the Jawazat in the immigration office, who's a Houthi, what do you think is going to happen to me right now?
Oh, yeah.
Again, my family's never going to see me again. That's it. I just smile and be like, huh, Sufi, huh? Okay, tell you. But what he was telling me was, like, if you're leaving, tell the people that you're Sufi, so you don't get in trouble with the checkpoints with the Houthis. I didn't understand what he was trying to tell me. You know, because we did get in trouble with the checkpoints, and I did get taken off the bus at gunpoint in front of my children and their mother. So yes, and I didn't tell them I was Sufi.
What you tell them?
Huh?
What you tell them?
I told them nothing. Just said I'm a Muslim. I just came here to live amongst the Muslims, and I said, and now this is how you treat me. So the other guy, who's the soldier, he was one of the head of the military for Ali Abdullah Saleh. He's like, let him go. You know, he felt it, like, you know, he's like, let him go. Because my wife came out, she had acid, she was crying, you know, let him go, let him go. Because they had let the others, they took 2 of us off the bus, but they let the other guy go. They kept me. They were not about to let me go, man. But that guy is just like, let him go. Let's talk about something different. What another question? That was not the funnest day of my life, honestly.
Advise us about the current state of the affairs in the Middle East. People know to talk about these issues with us.
Forget about the current state of affairs in the Middle East, because it's about to become the current events. It's about to become the state of the whole world. It starts in the Middle East, but it's going to spread throughout the whole world. So you need to be concerned about where you're living at. You know, again, this is the time people need to, like, we need to, you know, go back to the Sunnah, go back to, you know, worshiping Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala correctly, going back to get knowledge and going back, you know, because that's the only thing that's going to give us the bat in these days that are coming up, akhi. You know, yeah, I'll tell you, man, you like the any type of wishy-washiness, akhi, when times of difficulty and times of trials and tribulations, well, the deen goes out the window really, really fast. Really, really fast. You know, with most people, the deen is the first thing to go when they're trying to feed their families in the times of struggle. So, you know, but this is about to be the state of the whole world. You know, what you're watching in Palestine, what you're watching in all these countries, akhi, when it was happening in Yemen and Egypt and all these different countries in Syria, yeah, akhi, that was it. That was your sign that it's about to be done. It's about to be over. And I remember, you know, when I was in the Emirates and you know, all the protests had just stopped. They bombed the masjid that Ali Abdullah Saleh was in. Right there. We were right there. We were, you know, this was right after Jummah. They shot a missile because Ali Abdullah Saleh's the masjid where he was at was, you know, like a football field from where I was living at. So we came out the masjid. We heard all the shooting, and then boom, then they bombed the masjid. So after that, he went to get medical treatment in Saudi Arabia, and they forced him to sign the paper to step down as the president. So he did. And then all the protests stopped. everything kind of calmed down and started to kind of get back to semi-normal. And that was around late 2012, 2013. All right. But then what? I forgot where I was going with this. What was I talking about originally? I always get sidetracked on some stories and
About how the protests calmed down.
but what was the original thing that brought me to this?
The question about like affairs in the Middle East.
Yeah.
Now I remember. So during that time when it calmed down, obviously our situation was very difficult that whole year. I mean, the whole year that the protests were going on, just to get to any place, we had to walk miles and miles and miles and miles because there was no buses. Taxis, like the prices of taxis went up like 20 times the price. So I said, okay, man, I saved up my money and I went to Emirates to do a CELTA certification, which is a teaching certification from Cambridge. Because I said, okay, what I'm going to try to do, I'll go to Emirates, I'll get this certification and get a job in Saudi Arabia or some other place and get my family out of Yemen, right? Because the situation was just too bad. It's crazy, akhi. It was complete chaos. So when I was in the Emirates, I was talking to all these people. You have people from Bahrain, people from Iraq, and I was telling them, I was like, y'all keep talking about all this stuff going on over here and over here. I said, the focus, what y'all need to be focusing on is Yemen. And they're laughing, like, ha, 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 Yemen. Like, why would we focus on Yemen? What's Yemen going to be such a big deal about? Yeah, akhi, what do you hear about in the news right now? If you're not hearing Palestine, what do you hear? You hear Yemen. Yemen is bombing this. Yemen shooting missiles at this. Yemen's sending drones to Israel. Yemen's doing this and Yemen's doing this. Now you're starting to hear like Iran. So that's why I told them. I said the focal point is because the Deen is the strongest in Saudi Arabia and Yemen. The first thing they're going to try to do is they're going to try to get rid of Yemen. Then they're going to go after what? Saudi Arabia. And Sheikh Yahya used to tell the people, they said, he used to tell Saudi, he used to tell them like, nahnu al-subuh, nahnu al-futur, wa antum al-ghada. He said, we're breakfast, but you guys are the lunch. You understand? They're going to get rid of us first so they can, destroy y'all. They're going after y'all next. So basically what he's saying is you protecting us here is protecting yourselves, basically. Because that's the agenda. The agenda is to get rid of, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is not worshipped in the Jazirat al-Arab. That's the agenda. So if the people can't wake up to that, then akhi, what do you expect? And all the stuff that's going on around here and all this stuff is just to do what? To consolidate their power so they can do this even more. All right, man, let me give him his medicine, inshallah. He clawed your leg up, didn't he?
Oh yeah. There's like a tree. Or like those scratching posts the cats use. Oh yeah, get the reach. Put it on the mouse.
Oh, because it's got a fence.
Mouse does that.
Oh, that doesn't have a fence.
That
doesn't. Yeah, it's got eyes.
Oh yeah, it does. I guess. don't care.
This cat don't play, man. He's not like a playful cat. I don't know how I'm gonna maneuver this. See, that was smart. I don't know why, but I would have been sitting there talking to my son and everybody been like hearing the whole conversation.
You want to take more? Go to.
Are we going to Sharia? Or?
Man, my son is. Everybody make dua for him because he's really got a stupid father. Like sometimes, because my mind's like I'm off on other things. So you know he's got that pen, and the pen you got to enter in the amount of units that you're gonna give him before you stick the thing in his arm. So like today, I'm like sitting there trying to hurry up. I'm like, all right, get the alcohol. Oops, I forgot to put the number and pull it out, and then I gotta stick it in his arm again, man. Poor child, man. Poor child. You gotta be patient with his father, man. It's one of go one or two more or whatever. It's Friday. Friday's supposed to be doing all questions anyways, but go ahead.
If we hear people talking about the wrongdoings of a Muslim ruler, what should we do? Is it permissible?
Stay away from them. Advise them to stop it. If they don't stop it, then leave sitting with them.
So it's not permissible to sit with them?
No, absolutely not. Because you're participating in chaos in the Muslim world. You don't like I said, man, if you know, for one, let's say that you're in the country that you're speaking about the Muslim ruler. For you to participate in that conversation is a setup. You know, in the days of Ali Abdullah Saleh, he used to pay people, like his government used to pay people to get on the buses and speak out against them, to get people to join in the conversation so they could watch those people and they could see who they are. And if you're somebody that's like really, really dangerous to them, what do you think is going to happen? You stand between a man and, all right, the man's not a righteous person. He's not a religious person. He's a money-minded, business-minded, and family-protecting person because Yemenis, they're about family first. And if you get involved and start to cause any type of damage to their family, what happens to you in Yemen? You get killed, Akhi. You get killed with the quickness. If you come between a man with his money and his family, ya Akhi, you will die in Yemen, especially if that person is powerful. So, if you're in a Muslim country, you keep your mouth shut. That's protection for yourself. And you're not going to participate in this type of chaos. If you don't even live in the country and you're speaking about a ruler in a country that you don't live in, you're not even from, you're an idiot. Akhi, you're a complete buffoon idiot, Akhi. And we don't sit with idiots. We don't have time to sit with idiots because idiots will lie. They drain your mind power. They drain your mind and they kill your heart. Akhi, we don't sit with idiots. Like, why are you going to sit here wasting your time talking about the ruler of a country that you have no intentions of living in? Like this ruler, whatever they do in Saudi Arabia, Akhi, it affects nothing in my life today. Nothing. Nothing. Nothing in my day-to-day life is affected by anything going on in Saudi Arabia. And nothing in my day-to-day life is affected by anything that's going. And most of these people, Akhi, the people that talk on the internet, they don't want to live in Muslim countries. They want to live amongst the kuffar where they can get free, like go to the hospital and get insurance and get all the benefits of living amongst the kuffar, EBT and SNAP and all this type of stuff. And they want to live amongst the kuffar and speak against the Muslim rulers. They're never going to go live in a Muslim country. They won't even go and stay in a Muslim country for 30 days. But they want to talk about these countries. Akhi, that's a fool. Like, why would you even talk about, could you imagine me sitting here, spending every single day of my life speaking about the president of France in America? You would think I done lost my mind. You'd be like, dude, what are you smoking? Right? Just imagine how stupid I would sound sitting in America every single day. Well, the president of France is this, and the president, did you hear what they're doing in France? Everybody would be like, man, would you shut up? I give it 6 months, I have no friends. I have no friends. The only person that might become my friend is what? A French dude who's living in America who doesn't like the president of France. But I'm just saying, imagine that. How stupid that sounds. Then imagine these dudes running around and all they want to do is talk about what? Saudi government, the Bahraini government, the Emirati government. Man, shut up. Seriously, man. And then they talk about, who's paying you guys to... Ain't nobody protecting them. Nobody cares because it's none of our business because we don't live there. Who's paying you to talk about them all the time? And who's paying you to rile the people up against them? That's the question that should be asked. So Allah Muslim, go ahead.
It's the ruling on wearing red or a darker shade of it like maroon.
What's that?
It's the ruling on wearing red or a darker shade of it like maroon.
There's an ikhtilaf in that. And my opinion about that is based on Allah Alam, man. I need to go further into that masala, because the nahi is on the mu'asfar. All right, mu'asfar is za'faran, and za'faran is like a reddish, za'faran is saffron. So if you dye something with saffron, what does it look like?
How's it spelled?
Like a real
It's gonna be like the color of those Buddhist monks' clothing in Thailand, like that color, like a orangish color. It's not gonna come out red. So that's the ruling is on that. But I mean,
How's it spelled?
saffron, Saffron.
Oh, S-A?
Well, it's za'faran in Arabic, but saffron in English. Yeah.
S-A-F. S-A-F-R-O-N?
No, Saff.
Oh, S-A-F.
R-O-N. R-O-N. Yeah.
Next. What can we do as Muslims in regards to the situation in Palestine?
Make dua for them. Make a lot of dua for them. These people that go and running their mouths on social media, they're not even making dua for them. Go look at most of their posts. Aqidah doesn't even contain one dua for these people. Make dua for them. What can you do?
I seen someone online. They commented. They said basically that just to make dua, that's the best thing a Muslim can do for Palestine. And another person replied and they said, dua is not the best thing that we can do for Palestine.
What's the best thing that they suggested?
They think it's go out and protest.
Well, they've been protesting. For how long have they been protesting all around the world? How long now? Has anything changed? No, there's been a lot of changes, but I'm saying, has the situation in Palestine gotten any better? No. Absolutely not. It keeps getting worse and worse and worse. And not only is it getting worse in Palestine, but now it's getting worse in the countries where those protests are taking place. Because again, they're passing laws against this. How many people now? You got the orange man in power. If you go and getting all these people that participated in these protests and deporting them, right? So yeah, come on, man. So what benefit have you come out with? They did this protest, right? They did this protest in Jacksonville, and I remember this happened. Like the Muslims, they went out and they protested with the kuffar. And what happened was one of the sisters from the community, she got arrested. Yeah. All right, how many of us in this place have been in jail before? So let me tell you what happens when you go to jail in Jacksonville. I don't know about Fresno. I don't know about the rest of California, but I can tell you because she got arrested in Jacksonville. As soon as you get booked in the jail, after they fingerprint you, they take your picture, they send you down the hall where you get your clothes. And to the left and to the right, there's a shower. And in the middle, there's a correction officer who's going to sit there and watch you in the shower. Whether you're a man or whether you're a woman, you're going to go into that shower and you're going to take a shower right in front of that person. Then you're going to bend over and you're going to, you got to spread your backside. You have to spread it open so they can make sure that you're not hiding something in your backside. And then you got to cough really, really loud because, I guess they, when you spreading your backside and coughing, if there's something in there, it's gonna what? It's gonna pop out, right? And you have to do this in front of them. So imagine that this woman, this happened to her. She got arrested and she had to go through all of this, right? Yeah, she's a mother of children and a wife to some idiot that allowed her to go out and protest. And then this is happening to his wife and there's nothing that he can do. Ya akhi, wallahi, that's stupid. Wallahi, we do not put ourselves in a position to lose our dignity. If these kuffar, they go and they do something against us and put us in jail for whatever, for something that we didn't do, we don't protest and we don't call to ourselves getting thrown in jail. But if it happens, we're patient. We have to go through whatever we go through. We go through it with patience and try to, return to Allah in obedience to Allah. But you don't go setting up yourself and your wife and your family and all this type of stuff to go be put in these types of situations of losing their dignity. Akhi, wallahi, that's foolishness. And for what? What have you changed? What's changed in Palestine? Absolutely not. Nothing. You think the protests in America are going to change an army full of guns? Like, you think that these kuffar care about your protests? Who do you think is funding the protests? Like, honestly, who do you think is funding these protests right now? The same people that you're protesting against. Use your minds, man. Use your minds. Because they want these laws passed in America. They want more protection. And they're using you as pawns, and you're idiots, and you go out and you go and fulfill their agenda. Stupid. They're like, stupid. You know what I mean? Allah forgive us, wallah, because we got some stupid people amongst us, wallah. Anything else?
Someone has must they obey their mother, and their mother wants them to eat a lot because...
Hold on. Before you say, Asad, Ta'al. I just read something for him.
I see the question.
Muhammad Fatima said, Asad, we love you. Tayyib. He's smiling. Go ahead. What was the question?
The person says they're like a normal skinny build, I guess, but their mother wants them to eat a lot. Must they obey their mother in this? And the person says that what's your advice for helping them with snacking? They snack too much.
Yeah, they have a problem snacking. And
I don't know, man, because I'm not like a snacker. I don't know. So I mean, how many times do we eat like in a day? Like what, twice? Generally.
I used
discipline.
I used to eat a lot. Like I used to snack a lot. What I do is I just stop buying them.
I mean, I was like that when I was a kid, right?
Just don't put any food in your house.
Yeah, that's
except for what you need to eat. Don't put anything else. Don't put any chips or anything like that.
Try the sunnah fast. See, just to build up that habit of just not.
I mean, put food in your house that you have to cook. So
yeah, that's what
if you get hungry, you don't have to cook something.
Yeah.
And sometimes you just might not even be in the mood. You just be like, I'll just be hungry.
Yeah.
You know. Or if you are gonna snack, put stuff that's healthy. Like walnuts, almonds,
bananas,
pistachios,
very good, like
yogurt,
cashews.
Yeah, but if you're putting like potato chips, like what Abdul Malik brought us, all the goldfish and potato chips and all that stuff.
Your biggest pieces of wisdom regarding earning the love and respect of people for the purpose of dawah. How does one become an effective leader?
We went over that hadith, and the last hadith that we went over in daily hadith, what was it? Not today.
Yeah, when Allah
the last one.
He asks the angel, Jibreel, love you, and he asks. That's all I heard.
Yeah, so إذا أحب الله عبدا نادى جبريل إن الله يحب فلانا فأحببه. So if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala loves a servant, he calls out to Jibril and he says that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala loves the servant, so you love him also. فينادي جبريل في أهل السماء إن الله يحب فلانا فأحبه. So then Jibril calls out to the rest of the malaika, the rest of the angels of the heavens, and says that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he loves the servant, so all of you love him also. فَيُحِبُّهُ أَهْلُ السَّمَاءِ. And then all of the angels of the heavens, they love him also. ثُمَّ يُضَعُ لَهُ الْقُبُولُ فِي الْأَرْضِ. And then acceptance is placed for him in the earth. But that comes about through what? The hadith that came before that, which was what? مَنْ عَادَ لِي وَلِيًّا فَقَدْ آذَنْتُهُ بِالْحَرْبِ. Whoever, the hadith of the wali, the hadith of Abi Hurairah, which is the most beautiful hadith. Shawkani, he wrote a whole entire book just on that hadith alone. So it's a very, very beautiful hadith. So see if, seeing those books that didn't get put under the table, see if there's a book. It's called Qatar al-Wali. Qatar al-Wali. It's like an old looking book.
How big is it?
It's like that big, like maybe 250 pages.
On the one hadith?
It's the explanation of that hadith of the wali only. Huh? لا تحت طاولة على جنبه التي لم توضع تحت طاولة. إذا لم يكن هناك فهو تحت طاولة. I mean, that's obedience to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's Allah puts the love of in the hearts of the people, you know. And don't just think just because you're obedient to Allah that's gonna happen, because Allah might test you. That people just don't like you. So what? But the point is, you remain remain with the obedience of Allah. You're not trying to earn the love of the people. That's something. If Allah gives you that, then Allah gives you that. If He doesn't, He doesn't. You know, we haven't taken the hadith in the Kitab al-Tawhid. Wait, we did take the hadith in Kitab al-Tawhid, didn't we? We did take it. You know, where the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, and when he saw the Anbiya, he said, "Ana ra'aytu an-nabiyya wa ma'ahu rahat, wa an-nabiyya wa laysa." He said, "Ma'ahu rajul wa rajulan, wa an-nabiy wa laysa ma'ahu ahad." He said that he saw one prophet and he had like a rahat, like a little small following, right? One Nabi wa ma'ahu rajul wa rajulan, and one prophet he only had one or two followers. One Nabi wa laysa ma'ahu ahad, and there was one prophet that had what? Nothing. Nobody was with him. He got resurrected alone, and nobody followed him. So that's a prophet. Is there going to be anybody more obedient to Allah than a prophet? Absolutely not. So that qabul and that love from the people, that's from Allah. That's akhi. You can sit there and bend over backwards and try to do every single thing that you want to do to try to please the people. If Allah does not put that love for the people, love for you in the hearts of the people, it's just not going to happen. It's not going to happen. So, what you have to do as a Muslim, please Allah. So do that. Trying to please the people. Next.
My siblings are often watching TV with music playing. I've tried advising them multiple times. Is it permissible to stay in the living room while the cartoons are playing?
No.
No, it's not.
A good idea may be to, especially with these types of TVs that we have nowadays, is take a baseball and get like 2 gloves and say, "Hey guys, you want to play catch?" And then throw the ball really fast and bust the TV. Like, "Oh no, we busted the TV on accident, What are we gonna do now,
For someone who follows the opinion of red colored clothing being haram for men, what if you have a small part of your clothing red, or a small patch of threads? Any limit to the size?
No, it's completely red, and the opinion of the people that say that it's haram is completely red, completely.
So
the Prophet ﷺ used to wear the ridat from Yemen, where it had like red stripes on it. So having red in it is not haram.
Even if it's majority red.
Yeah, but if it's like covered in red, that's the issue.
Like if it's a whole red thobe, but like this, but this is black or white or something.
So he said, one person said, "Could I cut the TV cord?" Do it in a way that it seems like an accident. All right. Do it in a way that seems like an accident.
Is it permissible to protest?
Like for example, you might take some damage. You might take some damage, but walk in the room and trip over something and knock the TV over or something, like I said, you might get hurt a little bit, but at least it appears like an accident or something,
Is protesting?
Nah, man, don't even, come on. Go to the next question.
Is it okay to be ignorant in regard to the news and worldly affairs?
Huh?
Is it okay to be ignorant in regards to the news and worldly affairs?
It's very good to be ignorant of what's going on, because what they're telling you on the news is lies anyway. So if you sit there and watch the news and read the news, what are you getting fed with? You're getting fed with lies anyways. If you go and give me a tafsir ibn Kathir, safe over there, مجلد الثالث. Yeah, مجلد الثالث. فوق الكرسي هناك على اليمين. So if you go back into the tafsir of the Surah Al-Luqman, when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, وَمِنَ النَّاسِ مَن يَشْتَرِي لَهْوَ الْحَدِيثِ لِيُضِلَّ عَنْ سَبِيلِ اللَّهِ. From amongst the people that what? They purchase what? They, مِنَ النَّاسِ يَشْتَرِي لَهْوَ الْحَدِيث, like foolish speech. لِيُضِلَّ عَنْ سَبِيلِ اللَّهِ, to misguide and get the people to go away from the path that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has. Now, the strongest opinion is the opinion of what? Ibn Abbas and a lot of the other amongst the Sahaba is what? That it's referring to al-aghani, music. And that's the strongest opinion. But from amongst the opinions of the people is also that it means the akhbar al-ajam. It means to follow like the akhbar, or the news and what's going on with the non-Arabs. You know, and the ajam can refer to, like, it refers to non-Arabs specifically, but when we're talking about in Islam, that we're, you know, also dealing with the non-Muslims. We don't care what they're doing and what they're up to. Who cares? Because the nasr, that doesn't come from them anyway. It comes from Allah. It doesn't come from like what we have. And, you know, we know what we have to do, and we busy ourselves doing what we have to do. And being concerned about what they're doing, akhi, who cares? Who cares about their conspiracy theories? Who cares about their secret organizations and their fraternities? And akhi, what? Akhi, none of that stuff is going to protect them anyways. And when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has written their destruction, they're going to be destroyed. Just like all the people that went before them. You know, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned about those people that went before. كَانُوا أَشَدَّ مِنْكُمْ إِيش أَشَدَّ مِنْكُمْ قُوَّةً. That they were much stronger than you. Much stronger than you. And Allah still destroyed them. It's right down this courtesy next to your bike over here. I told you to put the Tafsir Ibn Kathir to the side. Maybe somebody moved it. الثالث. Give me another question or whatever before, while I'm looking this up, inshallah.
Would a Salafi children media company producing toys, shows, books for kids and provide an alternative for parents be permissible?
I don't even know what that is. I couldn't tell you. Go ahead. That's it?
Yeah. Except for, I guess, Hamid sent Adir's question.
I just checked my WhatsApp, Hamid. I don't see anything.
Hamid, you didn't send nothing to him.
Hamid, do you know Peter Parker?
All right, checking Tafsir Ibn Jarir then. Because here in Ibn Kathir, everything is about what? That it refers to music. I might have read it in Tafsir Ibn Jawzi. I'm not sure. I need to find out where I read it. But he mentioned like one of the aqwal is the akhbar al-ajam. It could also have been Tafsir, because back in those days I used to read al-Qurtubi a lot. So, all right. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. قال الإمام الآجوري رحمه الله تعالى. قال محمد بن الحسين الآجوري. All right.
What hadith? Like 40 something?
What's that?
What hadith?
Well, it's the last thing in this chapter where he's talking.
Which chapter was it?
Chapter 4, or you might have chapter, I don't know what chapter yours is. Because this is just like, you know, at the end of the chapter, he said, like, he he talks and then he goes on to the next chapter. So he said, Qala Muhammad ibn Hussein, you found it safe? وجدته? He said, من تصفح. You got it or no? يا أخي في آخر شيء في هذا الباب، آخر شيء. باب الخامس، باب الرابع عفوا، مباشرة بعد حديث الخامس والثلاثين. أنت وجدت هذا حديث الخامس والثلاثين بعده مباشرة. قال محمد بن حسين. أي. He said من تصفح أمر هذه الأمة من عالم عاقل علم أن أكثرهم العام منهم تجري أمورهم على سنن أهل الكتابين. So we'll take this little by little. So he said, "Man tasaffaha." Tasaffaha in the Arabic language, it actually comes from what? This is a safha, right? So if you just flip through the pages, you say like tasaffahtu al-kitab. I just flip through the pages of the book. But when you say like tasaffaha, amr al-qawma, amr al-ummah, this means what? Huh? Yeah, to follow up, to follow them, follow like what they're doing, what's going on with them, follow their affairs, and their state and what's happening with them. So he said, "Man tasaffaha amr hadhihi al-ummah min alimin aqil," from a knowledgeable person who has a sound mind. Alima, that he would know, and the akthar al-am, the majority of the people, aktharahum al-am minhum, like the general populace amongst the people, tajri amurum ala sunani ahl al-kitabain, that the majority of the people, and which he's talking about the Muslims, that they are following what? The ways of the people that went before, the people of the two books from before, the Jews and the Christians, that they follow their path, that they follow their ways. And he's speaking in general. Now he's going to speak more specifically as far as what he's talking about. He said, "Kama qala an-nabiy sallallahu alaihi wasallam," just as the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said in these narrations that we saw. Aw ala sunani Kisra wa Qaisar. All right, so they follow the paths of what? And Kisra was the leader of the Persians. Qaisar, which is Caesar, is the leader of the Romans. No, the Romans. Spaniards. Kisra is the leader of the Persians. Qaisar was the leader of the Romans. Aw ala sunani ahl jahiliyyah, or they just follow the path, like the ways and customs of the people of what? Of Jahiliyyah. He said, وَذَلِكَ مَثَلُ السُّلْطَنَةِ وَأَحْكَامِهِمْ فِي الْعُمَّالِ وَالْأُمَرَاءِ وَغَيْرِهِمْ. And so he said, this is just like the example of the people in authority. The cat, what's funny about this cat is he knows how to go out, but he can't get back in.
Oh, yeah. No, he just crawled straight under. Like,
but he can't
open it up. He just
yeah. But he can't do the same to get back in.
Oh, yeah.
You have to open the screen up for him. So he said, وَذَلِكَ مَثَلُ السُّلْطَنَةِ وَأَحْكَامِهِمْ فِي الْعُمَّالِ وَالْأُمَرَاءِ وَغَيْرِهِمْ. So he said, this is like the people in authority today, and their laws and legislation, and the way that they enact their laws against the workers, against the umara. The umara is like the princes and other people in authority. وَغَيْرِهِمْ, and other than the people who are mentioned. وَأَمْرِ الْمَصَائِبِ وَالْأَفْرَاحِ, he said, and how they deal with afflictions. وَالْأَفْرَاحِ, how they deal with celebrations. وَالْمَسَاكِنِ, وَالْمَسَاكِنِ is their housing or accommodations. وَالْلِبَاسِ, their clothing. وَالْحِلْيَةِ, and their adornments, like how they adorn themselves and their places. وَالْأَكْلِ وَالشَّرْبِ, and their eating and drinking. وَالْوَلَائِمِ, and their, al-walima obviously is dealing with the parties for the marriage, but a walima is in the Arabic language is for any, wala'im is for any type of feast. Anytime that you get a whole group of people together where they're eating and drinking and having fun, this can fall under like wala'im. Wal marakib, the things that they ride on. Wal khuddam, their servants and workers. Wal majalis, the places where they relax and they sit. Wal mujalasa, and either one, the way that they sit, the manner that they sit, or the people that they sit with. All of this stuff. Wal bay'i wa shara, when selling and buying and selling. Wal makasib, and how they earn their money. Min jihatin kathira, and how they earn their living from all different aspects. واشباه لما ذكرت يطول شرحها, and similar to all the things that I mentioned, that are too numerous to mention here. So he's talking about what? He's saying that, like, if you look at the people today, that you'll find the majority of the people that they follow, either one, they follow the kuffar. They follow the kuffar in what? In all these things. And their systems of government. All right. He said, "Wa amr al-masa'ib," even how they deal with afflictions. They deal with the afflictions like what? As a Muslim, if we get afflicted with something and we go through difficulties, what do? We return to the obedience of Allah. These kuffar nowadays, what do? They get more. They go deeper into their kufr. So now you see that the Muslims today, they're starting to follow the ways of what? These same kuffar. And whenever they're afflicted with something, he said, "Well, amr al-masa'ib wal afrah," the afrah, like for example, like the Eid, the celebrations. You see now, that when it comes to like Eid al-Adha, Eid al-Fitr, you see a lot of the Muslims, they give the very little, the smallest amount of attention to these things, to celebrating these things. But then when it comes to these other holidays from the kuffar, and these made up holidays that either the kuffar made them up or they just made them up. Because when, you know, if you have like holidays that were holidays before Islam, like for example, when the Prophet ﷺ came to Medina, all right, this hadith is reported on the authority of Anas. All right, so he got to Medina and he noticed that they were celebrating, they had 2 days that they celebrated. He said, these are 2 days that we celebrated from Jahiliyyah, that what? You know, nalab fihima, that we play and we enjoy ourselves in these 2 days. And what did the Prophet ﷺ say to them? Oh, go ahead and enjoy yourselves. No, he said, وَقَالَ أَبْدَلَ لَكُمُ اللَّهُ what? خَيْرًا مِنْهُمَا. Yeah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has exchanged for these 2 days, has given you 2 days that are better than these 2 days. And what are those 2 days? Well, he mentioned al-Adha and al-Fitr. He mentioned al-Adha first and then Fitr in the hadith. But he said, but he's exchanged, which means what? If you exchange something, then that means that you no longer what? You no longer practice this holiday anymore. It's done. So do you like look at the Sahaba? Did they sit there and argue with the Prophet and say, no, well, this is a day that we've always celebrated and we're going to continue to celebrate it because it's our culture? No. Sami'na wa ata'na. We hear and we obey. These were holidays that they had before Islam. What about these holidays nowadays that people are just making up, akhi? They're just making it up. Just make it up, akhi. You know, it's like, come on, you got to be the stupidest person in the world. You just looking for anything to celebrate. You're a Muslim, celebrate Friday. Yawm al-Jum'ah, Eid al-Usbu', you have an Eid every single week, but you can't celebrate that. You don't want to celebrate that. You don't want to celebrate the Ayad. No, but you want to go and like give all your money and all your attention and all this organization to do what? To celebrate some holiday of the kuffar? To celebrate a holiday that they just made up? Ya akhi, you're stupid. Wallahi, stupid. So, I mean, but this is the state of the majority of the Muslims around the world right now. When I left Jacksonville, they were trying to they said, well, you know, it's not permissible to celebrate Halloween. So to keep the kids from celebrating Halloween, we're going to have a sleepover in the masjid and we're going to give them candy.
Intelligent stories.
You know what I'm saying? So we're going to bring them to the masjid and we're going to celebrate this shirk in the masjid. And ya akhi, wallahi, it's better for you to let them go out and celebrate it outside. But now you bring the shirk and the kufr to the masjid. You bring the shirk and the kufr to the masjid, ya akhi, attaqillah. What, you don't think that you're going to stand before Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on the day of judgment and answer for this? You don't think that you're not going to be held responsible for this? Calling the people to this type of misguidance? And then even that same idiot, the same imam of that masjid, you know, is saying, well, there's no problem with the Muslims celebrating Thanksgiving because it's a day of shukr. And Muslims, we're what? We're shakirun. Ya akhi, wallahi. This is what happens when you get hypocrites, akhi, heading up the masajid. So they go and they bring this kufr to the masjid. Bring this kufr to the Muslims. This stuff that's just made up, akhi. These kuffar just made these holidays up. What was Thanksgiving, akhi? When did this holiday even start to be celebrated?
When all they took over all those pilgrims.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. You're looking at what?
They like colonized.
A couple hundred years, 200 something years, or what?
Celebration of colonization.
Yeah, it's just a made up holiday. And then you got even holidays that they made up even more recent than that. Still celebrating, akhi. Come on, man.
They got birthdays.
Yeah, which is a made up.
Yeah.
Like people should celebrate your birth. Like who are you?
Mm-hmm.
You know, the greatest of creation. We don't celebrate his birthday. So why would we celebrate your birthday? You know, why would anybody have to celebrate mine or yours or anybody else? And the greatest of all creation, we don't celebrate his birthday. He didn't celebrate his birthday. His companions who loved him more than anybody else didn't celebrate his birthday. Stop the foolishness. Stop the jahiliyyah. So that's what he's talking about. Wal afrah, wal masakin. Even the way that they build their houses, they start to what? They start to build their houses in the manner that the kuffar what? Build their houses. All right. Wal libas, the clothing. They start to wear the clothing of the kuffar. Well, helya is the way, like their adornments. Like you start to see men wearing jewelry. You know, how many Muslims do you see now? A man wearing necklaces and bracelets and all this type of stuff. How many times do you see this now?
Muslims?
Muslim men. A lot. And where did this come from? Where did they get this from? What type of deen? This is coming from what? Again, following the ways of the kuffar, and taking from them. Because that's who they really, these people that you see dressing like the kuffar, wearing their hairstyle and the hairstyles of the kuffar, wearing necklaces and stuff like that like the kuffar, trying to decorate their house like the kuffar. Who do they really hold in high regard and high esteem? And you see that they look down on the Muslims. Whenever they see a Muslim who's trying to practice his deen, they what? They look down on him. They despise him. So Allah musta'an. Wallahi, these people have no fear. They don't really, when we talk about not believing in the day of judgment, they obviously don't believe in it, because if they believed in it, they would change their behavior. He said, well, akal was sharab, they eat the food of the kuffar. You see this from the past of the Salaf, they would refuse to eat the ways that the kuffar used to eat. They would eat only the way that this is our food. This is the Muslims. This is the time of the Prophet ﷺ. This is how they ate. They continue eating the same way, even though they had the money and all the means to eat better than that. They would still eat in the same regard. They wouldn't eat like the way that the kuffar used to eat. And he said, "Well, shut up the way that they drink, and not just the way they drink, but also what? Not what they drink, but also like the glasses and like now you see Muslims, like you go to Muslims' houses now, they'll give you juice in a wine glass now. They just want to act so much like the kuffar that they even give you juice in a wine glass. Like, what do you as a Muslim got a wine glass in your house for? He said, well, wala'im, and all their feasts, they do it like the kuffar. Wal marakib, same thing. You see a Muslim, what do you need as a Muslim? You need a car, right? We need cars, right? We need transportation to get us from point A to point B. But what type of car do you need? Just a car, a simple car that's sturdy, that's known to Toyota Camry. But I'm saying even the Toyota Camry, do you have to decorate it and paint it like a bowling ball and and cherry colored and put expensive rims on it and now you're breaking my chairs now. Look at you, man. He broke the chair now. Sorry, man. It's from Walmart. It wasn't meant to hold up. It's okay, Ibrahim. But you can't lean no more. Your leaning days are over now. All right.
To the right.
Okay.
And he said, well, khuddam, which is like the servants and the workers. Well, majalis, even their gatherings and their sittings. They want to do everything like what? The way that the kuffar did it. Well, bay' wa sharat. They don't follow the laws of Islam. They follow however the kuffar do it. That's how they do it. Well, makasib, even the way they earn their money. They'll sell alcohol. They'll sell pork. They'll sell lottery tickets. But why? Because this is what the kuffar buy. This is what they do. This is how they make their money. So we're going to do the same thing. He said, من جهات كثيرة وأشباح لما ذكرت يطول شرحها تجري بينهم على خلاف السنة والكتاب. Everything that you see amongst their affairs, it goes against the what? Goes against the sunnah wal kitab, the sunnah and the Quran. وإنما تجري بينهم على سنن من قبلنا. But they continue to practice and carry out all of their affairs like in the ways that the people before us, before the Muslims did. كما قال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم, the same way that the Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم said. He said, Allahul Musta'an. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the one that we seek assistance with. ما أقل من يتخلص من البلاء الذي قد عم الناس. He said, how few are the people who are spared from this tribulation of falling into all this foolishness. Called ammanas, that has reached all the general populace of the people. وَلَنْ يُمَيِّزْ هَذَا إِلَّا عَاقِلٌ عَالِمٌ. And nobody can distinguish this and see distinguishment here is between what? To distinguish between what's the Quran and the Sunnah and what's the people following what? Most of the people today, they can't distinguish. If you were to ask them, like a lot of their customs, they might even tell you what? That this is the Sunnah, that this is from the Sunnah. Then you ask them, where's the evidence? Oh, I'll find it. I'll get it for you. Don't worry, I'm going to bring it tomorrow. And then they what? But they can't even distinguish between what's a custom of their people and what's the Sunnah. They don't even have that ability to distinguish. But that's what he's saying. Only a few people have that ability to distinguish. He said, illa aqilun alim, except for a person who has a sound mind and he's knowledgeable. فقد أدبه العلم. That the knowledge is what? Here they translate this as what? Disciplined, right? But it's not disciplined. Because the whole purpose of discipline is to do what? Like ta'deeb is discipline. But when we say called adabahu, it doesn't mean that it's discipline, because you can discipline somebody, but you haven't reached the goal of the discipline. The purpose of disciplining is to get a person to act upright, to be on the, sirat al-mustaqim. So he's saying the only people that really understand this and can distinguish between the truth and the falsehood, what's sunnah and what's jahiliyyah, are the people that have a sound mind and they have knowledge and they benefited and they become upright. The knowledge has made them upright, made them correct, has corrected them and made them upright. And that's what he means by adabahu, not just disciplining. Because disciplining, you can discipline your child, but that doesn't mean the child's going to be upright. So the whole goal of discipline is to make the person act correctly. So he said, and the knowledge has done that for this person who can distinguish. Wallahu ta'ala al-muwaffaq li kulli rashadin wal mu'inu alayh. That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He is the one that gives you the tawfiq. He's the one that's going to write for you the, li kulli rashad. Rashad is what? Kulli hidayah, like kulli, all the guidance. Wal mu'inu alayh. And He's the one who's going to assist you in following that. Nobody else and nothing else. Allahumma musta'an. And then the very next chapter, the very first chapter, because this all was covering like the introduction of the book, right? The very first chapter of this book is going to be what?
Fighting the
it's gonna be about the Khawarij. Very first chapter after this introduction.
Those that we took were chapters.
It's gonna talk about Ali radiallahu anhu fighting the Khawarij, huh?
So anything we all the first things we took weren't even chapters?
No, they're like introductory chapters. To like, to set the standard, to set the tables of like, why did these groups do this? And he's telling you right now, if you look at the majority of the people now, they don't care about the sunnah. They want to follow the path of the kuffar and the path of these people that have like influence over them. So that also affects them and their ideologies and the groups that they come with, because you see these groups from the Jahmiyyah, you see the Mu'tazila, you see the Qadariyah. Who were they taken from? Who did they take this garbage from? They took it from the philosophers, from the kuffar. So, and why would they go and take they left off the Quran and the Sunnah to take philosophy as their religion? All right, why? Because of how they see these kuffar. They think that the truth is with them. If they understood that the truth was with the Quran and the Sunnah, why did they leave it off? What was that? Okay. We have no shortage of them in this neighborhood.
There's a lot of them.
Stupid everything. Kids, not kids, everything. Yeah. I told you, you come out here, some nice dude would just be sitting there stabbing. What was it the other day? Dude was like stabbing the fence or something? What was he doing? Or beating the fence with a
lightsaber?
Yeah, I don't know, with a metal pole. Or that day that you went out after Fajr, and you told me, what was he doing? But he was beating something, or what? He's like just beating the fence or something. So yeah. Any questions before we go?
Yeah. Hamid's question.
Then we already answered his question.
Regarding women giving speeches in public gatherings, in our school, they be making women give speeches in graduation, and I'm questioning, how is this allowed?
It's not allowed. It's not permissible. Yeah. Because everything about a woman is awrah. Everything, her voice, everything. So it's not permissible. The only time that a woman speaks in front of a man that's not her mahram is for a hajah, for a darura. For example, if she needs knowledge of something and there's nobody else that has that knowledge except for like a man, and she has to ask, she goes with a mahram, she stays behind a hijab, and if she doesn't have, like, let's say she doesn't have a mahram or nobody to go with her, but like maybe the man's wife accompanies her to the house, and she has to ask the question, because if she goes with a mahram, then she doesn't need to ask the question, does she? The mahram can ask for her. So again, there's no need for her to talk. But if there's an absolute necessity, like there's nobody there, like maybe she's a Muslimah that grew up in the West, she has no Muslim family, and then the brother's wife, sits with her behind a hijab while she asks the question. But even then, is it necessary that she ask the question, or the brother's wife ask the question? So again, it goes back to when does it become a necessity? It's not a necessity, then she should refrain from talking in front of men. Akhi, that causes so much fitna, So it's foolishness, I mean, I'm a man, you're a man. How many times have you heard a girl's, you might be in public, you're minding your own business, Some girl says something out loud, but she just has like a very soft, beautiful voice. And what's the nature and you do? Look at where the voice is coming from, right? It's just a natural instinct, Sahi. See, so what happens? What's the difference between a Muslim, a strong Muslim, and a weak Muslim, a kafir? A strong Muslim is what? He knows these instincts and these desires that he has in him, and he what? He controls them, fights them, he keeps them under control. The weak Muslim, he might give in to them, but what? He catches himself and what? The kafir has no control over his desires. You know, if he hears a woman, he just like, he'll, you know, like follow his nose like Cheerios. You know what I'm saying? It's just like he'll go straight to the sound, you know, like a dog in heat type of thing, man. So Allah musta'an, you know. But unfortunately, a lot of the Muslims today, they act like those kuffar. They have no control over their desires whatsoever. You know, and it's because, I don't know, maybe it's because they're raised with women and that they hide. Look, a woman is a human being. She's a human being. You understand? And not just a human being, but she was created from what? She's created from the man. Like, what do you look like a man following after women? You're a punk. Like, seriously. Like, you're sitting there groveling at the feet of women and being heartbroken by women and all this type of stuff. And like, you know, because you hold women at like high esteem. Like, you know, like she's a woman. She's a human being. Treat her like a human being. She's just another human being. Okay, Tayyib, she's a woman and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created her as a mate for us. You know, but use it in a, you know, that's a mate for you. That's halal. You know, but not to be running around like a dog in the middle of the street, like, you know, running around chasing after every female voice you hear. But that's the sad thing that you see. But we know that that's the sickness of the hearts of the people. So why would you put now your females, the women of the Muslims, in the type of predicament where now they're speaking in front of these dudes that you know 90% of these dudes have a sick heart? More than 99.9%. There's probably one or two people in there that can control their desires. If you're talking about a whole audience and she speaks in front of them, how many of those guys actually could probably control their desires in the presence of a woman? You know, why would you put your females in? I mean, you're not a man if you do that. You're not a man. You're the youth. If you sit there and put your women in those types of predicaments, you're the worst of males. Worse of males. You have no protectiveness. There's no protective feelings over your females. You're a garbage, complete garbage. You allow your women to mix with men, talk in front of men. You're garbage, and you should not be respected. Any man who does that should never be respected. Never.
Is it permissible? There's a carnival tomorrow. Is it permissible to go?
Absolutely not. We just talked about that. Are you asking me? You asking me or they asking?
Question.
Oh. Now, Eid is finished. We have another Eid, inshallah, in 9.5 months. That's when we celebrate. And the next Friday, you can celebrate again. Go enjoy your Fridays. Get some pizza, get some ice cream, go out and party on Fridays.
Can I break or throw away my mother's glasses that resemble wine glasses? She just got done moving, so it's very unlikely she'll notice.
It's an issue of whether or not it's going to cause fitna. If they're still like in the boxes and all that, and you can, you know, if you have a means of getting rid of it where she might think like, oh, we lost it in the move, which is possible because you can't keep track of everything when you're moving. It happens because there's so much going on. You know, and you could do that without causing a fitna in the household, then do it. But if it's going to cause a major fitna, or, you know, then it's better to refrain from those. And that goes for all the questions people keep asking me all the time. Should I destroy this? Should I get rid of this? My father has this. Should I do this? And should I, you know, again, it goes back to whether or not you're living in their house under their authority. You understand? So if you have the means of doing it without, you know, causing problems and all that, then khalas. But if it's going to cause chaos and cause, you know, you to have like this big rift between your family where now your mother's not talking to you, your father's not talking to you, and then, you know, it's best to avoid that.
Many Muslims are ignorant and don't understand that these matters are serious.
And I'm talking about a person who has Muslim parents. But still, even if your parents are not kuffar, I mean, if they are kuffar, you should still use hikmah because you're trying to give them dawah and you don't want to chase them away from the deen. So, I mean, you have to have more patience. Actually, nah. Honestly, nowadays, you have to have more patience if your parents are Muslim than if your parents are kuffar. Because I think the kuffar are more open-minded nowadays. Like most of the parents that were born Muslim are very closed-minded in their ways. So whatever they're doing, whether it's wrong or right, it doesn't matter. Akhi, they're gonna keep doing it. So, but I think you probably have less problems dealing with you say no, or you shaking your head.
Oh no, I'm just remembering something.
I mean, think about like you dealing with your family. Do you have like major issues trying to deal with your family?
Sometimes, yeah.
Sometimes, but not like these dudes. Like, if you listen to like born Muslims, like Muslims who have like Muslim parents, and you listen to their problems when they try to practice the deen, it's way worse. It's way worse. Well, like being born to kuffar is actually a blessing, akhi. We have to deal with a lot less because our parents are not Muslim. Guess what? We could just leave the house. You know what I'm saying? We could just get up and go. We don't have to stay with them. We don't. So go ahead.
Many Muslims are ignorant and don't understand the matters of following the kuffar are serious. Will they be forgiven for following the path of kufr? How many Muslims I know?
I mean, that's what Allah. Whether or not they're going to be to ask that type of question, whether or not they're going to be forgiven, you can't ask a human being that. How would we know? How would anybody know whether or not they're going to be forgiven? All right, if they have ignorance, inshallah, we hope that Allah will forgive them. But the thing is like, where is their ignorance come from? Does it come from them literally? Like, you got people who are ignorant just because the knowledge does not exist in their area. It doesn't exist. But then you got people who are ignorant because the word ignorant in the English language, it comes from what? The word ignore, because they ignore the truth. So if they're ignoring the truth and they don't want to learn, then that's a whole different issue. Akhi, that person now is responsible for that. He has no excuse because the knowledge is there, but he just ignores it. It doesn't want to have anything to do with it. So it depends on that person's situation and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's mercy. If Allah wants to punish the person, punish the person. He wants to have mercy on the person and forgive him, he forgives him. So who knows? That's with Allah. That's not with us. We're not gonna sit up here like Jehovah's Witnesses and everything. You're going to hell, everything. Like we don't know. We don't even know where we're going. But I can tell you, if you keep running around telling people that they're going to hell, more than likely, that's probably what's going to happen to you. So, I'll be too scared to do that just because that's, before it happened to me. So,
we don't know what's in anyone's heart.
Akhi, I have never ever spoken ill about a person, but see, you speak ill about a person because maybe there's a need for it. There's a need. This person is doing something wrong. This person is a danger to the Muslims, and you have to speak out about the person. That's a part of our deen. That's protecting the Muslims. But then you speak ill about other people, and you turn it into a joke and sukhriya, where you're mocking the person and laughing about the person. I have never done that in my life, except that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has changed my situation to be like the situation of the person that I was mocking. So
there's a troll in the chat.
What's this?
You want the next question?
He didn't get to finish spelling out what he wanted to spell out.
Yeah.
But you're right, idiot. The truth does terrorize you. So we are terrorists because we terrorize you with the truth. Because you don't like the truth. You hate the truth. So mutu bi ghaydikum. Yeah, idiots, man. Seriously. Don't die in your anger. Akhi, wallahi, your anger doesn't do anything to us, akhi, because we're going to continue doing what we do, inshallah. And the truth does terrorize you because you're a bunch of idiots, man. Go ahead.
Does the concept of karma exist, or is this a concept the Sufis use? I see Sufis always speaking about...
Because the Sufis, they took their religion a lot in the old days from...
Karamat.
No, karma.
Oh, that's what they mean?
The Sufis, they took their deen from Buddhists and Hindus. So you see, like, I'm not directly, I'm saying that there was like, again, go back to what we just read about. That people get influenced by that region. So if you look at, like, for example, like, look at India, and look at like areas like in China and Tibet and other places where there might be Muslims, but they get influenced by whatever that prominent religion is in those places, because Islam is not the controlling religion in a lot of those areas. So what do? They get influenced by whoever's in power and whoever's in control. So you see the Sufis in certain regions, they got influenced by different people. Sufis got influenced by philosophers of the Greeks. Sufis got influenced by Buddhists. Sufis, where do you think they got these dhikr beads from?
Yeah.
It comes from the Buddhists, akhi. Huh? Huh? Nah. Most of the Muslims in China, they're Sufis. A lot of them Sufis. Huh.
Really, like a lot of the Chinese Muslims, they're Sufia.
Most of those regions, like China, most of like Southeast Asia, Malaysia, Indonesia, Sufis are strong, akhi. They're strong over in those areas. You go all the way up to all those the Caucasus countries, you know, like Dagestan, Chechnya, mostly Sufis, and then like they're hardcore, like we follow the ways of our fathers type Sufis, you know. So yeah, but I mean they got influence, but you see that each group of Sufis is not the same, but they all got influenced by some external thing. They didn't get influenced by the Quran and the Sunnah. So what was the original question?
Does the concept of karma exist?
But that's what I'm saying. Okay, that's what it was going back to that. Yeah, sorry about that. Is that they took that concept of karma from what? From their mixing with the Hindus and the Buddhists and all this type of stuff. Nah, I'll tell you the concept that we have in this deen is the concept of what? Al-jazat min jins al-amal. That's the concept that we have in this deen. Al-jazat min jins al-amal. The punishment or the reward is based on what? The original action. So if you do something bad to somebody, like for example, you go and you fornicate with somebody's daughter. Don't be surprised now when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala punishes you with your daughter fornicating with what? Somebody else. Now these kuffar will call this what? It's karma. Oh, it's Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala punishing you for your actions, and what? Now you get to taste ani wabala amri. Liyadhuka wash wabala amrihi. So now you get to taste your actions. You get to taste the bitterness of your actions and the evil of your actions. By now it's happening to you. So that's the concept that we have in Islam. All this karma garbage, people need to refrain from that. Again, even if they had the same concept, let's say that their concept was similar or even the same, the fact that they specify it by using this word, Muslims should refrain from it. Jazaa min jins al-amal. Khalas. Huh? Oh, karamat, not karma. Oh, he's talking about the karamat, the karamat al-awliya. Is that what he's talking about? Oh, the karama, not the karma. Karama is that, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives you like, how can I say this? Causes like certain actions to happen to you, or for you to be able to do certain things that nobody else could do. Nobody would have. But this type of Sufi understanding of karama, like these karamat, is basically using the jinn. And Shaykh al-Islam ibn Taymiyyah, I mentioned this before, that he wrote a book about this, which is the, al-Furqan bayn al-awliya al-Rahman wa awliya al-Shaytan. The al-Furqan, which is the distinguisher between the awliya of Allah and ar-Rahman, and the awliya of Shaytan. And the awliya of Shaytan that he's talking about in this book are the Sufis, because they use jinn, and the jinn, they come to them, and they don't know that a lot of them, they don't even know that they're using jinn. But because they're so misguided, the jinn comes to them and, in the form of like saying, I'm an angel and I want to let you know that Allah loves you, and anything that you want to do, anything that you want me to do, I'm here to do for you. I'm here to serve you and help you. So the jinn, they start to do these, miracle type things for them, helping them walk on water, helping them float, helping them do all these type of things, but this is there are karamat of the awliya, but if you read through Shaykh al-Islam's books, you'll get an understanding of like what that is. But that karama comes through people of obedience. So one time, amongst one of the Sahaba, one of the stories that he mentions is a story that's Thabit, where there's a lion, and the lion was like terrorizing the people in the village. And then the Sahabi came in and put his foot on the neck of the lion and sat him down. And Allah put that lion under the control of that Sahabi. Okay, that's a karamat al-awliya. That's a man of obedience. That's a man who lives his life in the worship of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And following the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam, not these types of people who leave off salat, who this is just the garbage that the Sufis and their beliefs, complete facade, akhi.
Or you're talking about those guys those Sufis that They think they're at a certain level where they don't need to do all
Yeah,
that.
I mean that's one branch of the Sufis. Yeah, they reach this level where like taklif is gone. Like they don't have to do anything. They don't have to pray, fast, nothing. They can live their lives and fulfill their desires. That's it. Those are the idiots that you have to take your wife to the first night so that he can put the barakah, before you take her home. Yeah. So and people fall for this garbage, akhi. Well, like people are stupid enough to fall for this garbage. Anything else?
My dad is allowing my mom to paint and renovate a rental property with a kafir man. My brother left my mom at the house of the kafir to pray. Was this permissible?
No, you can't leave that. You can't leave. How are you gonna leave your mother alone with a kafir man? What? No. You stay there. I mean, you have the hadith where the Prophet ﷺ was speaking about that a woman does not travel, without a mahram, right? She doesn't travel without a mahram. Traveling, not is being alone with a man. Traveling. So رجل, رفع يده قال يا رسول الله أنا كتبت في خطيبة or جيش فلان, فلان وفلان وزوجتي يعني تحج. She's on Hajj and she's alone. And I got put into this battalion to go fight. He was put into the battalion to go fight. And what did the Prophet ﷺ tell him? He said, go and make Hajj with your wife. She needs a mahram. So he gave him the excuse of leaving fighting in the path of Allah because he had already been put in the battalion to go out on this expedition to go fight. He said, go make Hajj with your wife. So how are you gonna leave? Come on, man, leave your mother alone with a kafir. Yeah, come on, man. SubhanAllah, that's crazy, man. That's crazy. Any other questions?
Is it obligatory for a Muslim woman to cover her face in front of kuffar women?
It's better, especially now in this age of phones. These women, they might take a picture of you, put the picture out. I wouldn't trust them. I don't trust the kafir, and I don't trust a Muslim that acts like one. So that's it. I did not trust them, and I'll never trust them. Especially not with our women. So the woman, she should remain covered. Even if it's around women, the kuffar, unless if it's a woman that she knows very well and she trusts her, maybe, uncover her face, but not uncover anything else because it's permissible. The asl of it is what? It's permissible for the uncover. She's a female, but still, because of the women having access to taking pictures and all this type of stuff, I'll be careful. Just be careful about who just know the person that you're around.
How many movements can you make to get to a sutra?
What?
How many movements, like in the salah? How many movements can you make to get to sutra?
Like 1 or 2 steps. Anything that's more than, because if you take 3, 4, 5 steps, you're walking. And walking is out of the actions of salat. So if you just have to walk up 1 or 2 steps to get to a sutra, are you talking about to get to a sutra or what? Yeah, like 1 or 2 steps.
Or what about
But I mean, if you're walking from here to you see where that T is over there, this is pray where you're at. Just pray where you're at. You can't walk all that. That's walking, You have to take 3 or 4 steps to get there. You're walking now. And that's out of the actions of salat. Your salat becomes invalid.
What about when we're praying on Jummah and the rows, people start moving up, but you already started your salat. Can you walk up a row?
If you can take 1 or 2 steps, just to go up to the next row down, it only takes 2 steps. Yeah.
What's the ruling on going to the fortune teller?
Are you serious? Go back to go. Didn't we talk about this in Kitab Tawhid yet or no? We didn't. We didn't follow it. So I like you Jews. The Prophet ﷺ said, "Man ata kahin." Lam tuqbal salatuhu 40 yawman. Whoever goes to a fortune teller, that his salat will not be accepted for 40 days. And then he said in another narration, he said, وَمَنْ أَتَى كَاهِنًا فَصَدَّقُ بِمَا يَقُولُ فَقَدْ كَفَرَ بِمَا أُنزِلَ عَلَى مُحَمَّدٍ. And he said, whoever goes to a fortune teller and he believes the person and what he says, then he is disbelieved with what Allah sent down to Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So that's not permissible. It's from the kaba'ir. From the kaba'ir. That's it.
So she wrote.
All right, man. إلى هنا سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك.